Air India Flight 171 crashed in Ahmedabad, wiping out countless lives in seconds. The black boxes were found damaged and sent for analysis. Weeks later, we're still in the dark, but why the holdup? Are the boxes too broken? Or is something being hidden? The silence is chilling, and it's hard not to suspect there's more to it. Just 36 seconds later, the Air India Flight 171 crashed into a hostel building in Mehani, Nagar, leaving behind a destroyed aircraft, charred wreckage, and the heartbreaking loss of lives both inside the plane and on the ground. Only one person made it out alive. Everyone else, including students and hostel residents, died in a matter of seconds. Investigators searching for answers focused on two small but important devices known as black boxes, which are bright orange to help them stand out in debris. These are called Enhanced Airborne Flight Recorders, EAFRs, and they can carry two types of data: cockpit sounds and technical flight readings. The cockpit voice recorder, CVR, captures what pilots say, what alarms go off, background noise, and other sounds inside the cockpit. The flight data recorder, FDR, stores hundreds of flight details like altitude, engine performance, control movements, speed, and much more. Flight 171's Boeing 787 was built with two of these recorders, one near the front and one in the tail. The first black box was found on June 13th, lying on a rooftop, and the second was pulled from the rubble on June 16th. Both were sent to Delhi's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau lab on June 24th, guarded closely throughout the trip. The front recorder's memory was accessed the next day, but after that, no full data has been released, and the lack of updates is making many people nervous. The crash was violent. The aircraft dropped from just over 600 feet and broke apart instantly. Fire spread through the wreckage. The plane, a Dreamliner registered as VT-A&B and powered by two General Electric GEnx 1B67 engines, scattered pieces across the hostel. The intense heat and pressure may have pushed the black boxes beyond their limit, even though they're built to survive almost anything. Experts still hope the memory chips inside stayed safe. But opening a damaged black box takes more than just skill. It's a delicate process. These boxes are sealed tightly to protect the data, and one wrong move can destroy everything inside. The recovery team may have had to cut through melted parts of the aircraft just to remove them. At the lab, every step to open and examine the boxes has to be slow and exact. Even in a controlled environment, the chance of damaging the memory remains high. The process itself takes time and can't be rushed. On top of that, the investigation is being handled by several groups, like India's AAIB, Boeing, General Electric, the US National Transportation Safety Board, and the UK's Air Accidents Investigation Branch. Each team brings in a different area of expertise, but with so many involved, there are layers of approvals and procedures. Everyone has to agree on how the data is handled, who gets access, and how findings are shared. With so many lives lost, 260 people, the pressure to get it right is even greater. A single mistake in the analysis could cause more pain for the families, so no one wants to release any findings until everything is confirmed beyond doubt. There is also concern about the kind of data these black boxes hold. The CVR in this particular Boeing 787 could only store 2 hours of audio because the aircraft was delivered in 2014, years before the updated 2021 rule that made 25-hour recordings standard for newer planes. In newer aircraft like the 787, that number can go up to 2,000. This includes everything from fuel flow, flap angles and engine thrust, to hydraulic pressure and flight control movements. The issue here is timing. Because the crash happened so fast, all that data was recorded in a short burst, less than a minute. The result is a massive stack of information packed into a tiny window of time. Analyzing it is much harder than usual. Most aircraft incidents unfold over several minutes, giving investigators time to track what went wrong, how the crew responded, and what led to the crash. But with Flight 171, everything happened at once. The aircraft climbed for just about 14 seconds, then it stopped gaining altitude, began rolling to the side, the nose went sharply upward, and then it fell. That kind of sudden change likely triggered a flood of alerts, warnings, and system failures all within seconds. The CVR would have captured alarms, pilot commands, and background sounds, all of it packed into less than a minute. The FDR-2 would have been overwhelmed, logging hundreds or even thousands of rapid changes with no time gaps to help sort out which event led to which. Investigators now face the hard task of breaking down this dense stack of emergency signals, trying to make sense of what exactly happened and in what order. In the first few days after the crash of Flight 171, there was uncertainty about where the black boxes would be opened and analyzed. Some early discussions pointed to the possibility of sending them to the United States, where advanced labs specialize in handling severely damaged flight recorders. But on June 24th, that idea was set aside. Both black boxes, enhanced airborne flight recorders, remained in India. They were taken to the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau's dedicated lab in Delhi. This facility, which opened just 2 months earlier in April 2025, was built at a cost of 9 crore Indian rupees. It was designed to meet global aviation standards and is equipped to repair damaged recorders and recover sensitive data. The memory module of the front recorder was successfully accessed by June 25th. Even with this progress, there has still been no official report with full details. Investigators are working through multiple layers of possibilities, and no single cause has been confirmed. Several key failure types are being studied: a complete electrical failure, a total hydraulic collapse, the sudden loss of power in both engines, or even a mix of these failures. One detail that raised more questions was the sighting of the ram air turbine, or RAT. This is a small propeller-powered device hidden inside the aircraft and only deploys when the plane suffers major electrical or hydraulic system failures. Witness accounts confirmed the RAT was out, which is a major signal that something serious happened in the aircraft's core systems. People on the ground saw it, and the only person who survived the crash recalled hearing a loud bang and seeing a green light, both signs that the emergency systems were switching on. If it turns out that both engines failed at the same time, this event becomes even more unusual. Dual engine failure is extremely rare in commercial flights, with a probability estimated at 2.5 billion to 1. The aircraft was powered by 2 General Electric GEnx-1B67 engines, which are known for reliability. The right engine had gone through a complete overhaul in March 2025, while the left engine had been inspected for maintenance just a month later in April. Still, the investigation is looking into other possibilities, including contaminated fuel and a potential failure in a system known as FADEC, Full Authority Digital Engine Control. This computer system controls how the engines operate. If it fails, the pilot may not be able to control engine power at all. So far, there has been no confirmation of bird strikes, sabotage, or outside interference. That leaves the black boxes as the best chance to uncover the truth. The cockpit voice recorder will show what was said in the cockpit, what sounds fill the air, and whether the mayday call happened just before or after the aircraft started losing control. The flight data recorder will give technical answers: how the engines were working, if the flaps were where they were supposed to be, and whether the landing gear had been deployed. There have been early suggestions that the gear may have been down at the time of impact. Each black box also contains a backup power source called RIPS, Recorder Internal Power Source. This emergency battery can keep recording for 10 minutes if the aircraft loses all electrical power. Since Flight 171 lasted less than 60 seconds, this backup battery captured everything from the moment the engines started to the final crash. The black boxes, however, are just part of a much larger investigation. This process must follow strict international rules. According to ICAO regulations, investigators are required to submit a preliminary report within 30 days. For Flight 171, that means the initial report must be ready by July 12, 2025. The final investigation can take up to a year. A special investigation team was put together on June 13. It includes specialists in fields like medical forensics, air traffic control data, aircraft systems, and flight behavior. Their job is to piece together all the clues. The black box recordings, radar tracking data, and wreckage on the ground. One thing they're closely examining is the condition of the engine turbines. The blades inside these engines can tell a lot. If they show no sign of movement, it could mean the engines were not working at the time of impact. That's a big clue in understanding whether the plane lost power before crashing. Investigators also are testing the aircraft's fuel to check for any kind of contamination. That step matters even more when considering a similar incident in 2020. In that case, an Airbus A321 taking off from Gatwick faced engine problems just after takeoff due to fuel issues. It was able to land safely. Flight 171 had no such luck. The crash was fast and brutal. As the search for answers continues, the pressure is growing. Families want explanations. Aviation authorities need clarity, and the global community is paying close attention. But moving too fast and reaching a wrong conclusion could make things worse. That's why the team handling this case is moving carefully. In the meantime, Air India's entire fleet of 33 Boeing 787 aircraft has been ordered to undergo additional safety checks to ensure that nothing like this happens again. By June 21st, 26 aircraft from Air India's Boeing 787 fleet had passed the special inspections ordered after the crash. But the focus wasn't just on the aircraft. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation also began closely examining how the airline handled routine maintenance and flight planning. A worrying pattern had started to show up. Technical faults that kept coming back, and rules that kept being ignored. While those inspections continued, the crash site itself was a massive challenge from the start. The aircraft had gone down in a thickly populated area, tearing through buildings and homes. The wreckage spread out across narrow lanes, with pieces of metal, broken walls, and burnt debris blocking every corner. Emergency crews had no time to waste. About 300 firefighters were sent in right away, with help from 60 fire vehicles and 20 ambulances. They worked for hours, even as smoke and heat made it hard to move. While clearing the site, they found more than just the two black boxes. A separate digital video recorder was recovered. This device stores footage from inside the aircraft cabin and from cameras fixed outside the plane. It could provide visual proof of what happened in the final seconds, but right now, it's not the focus. Investigators are concentrating on the two black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, because those hold the most detailed information about the crash. At the same time, families were desperately waiting to hear about their loved ones. The crash had killed many people on board and on the ground. Identifying the victims has taken longer than expected. By June 16th, DNA tests had confirmed the identities of 90 people. Only 47 bodies had been returned to families by then, and the wait has made things even harder for those grieving. As days passed, footage of the crash started spreading online. The videos were shared widely, some showing the moment of impact and the fire that followed. That sparked outrage. Crowds gathered, people took to the streets in protest, and the incident had already shaken the nation. But when it was revealed that one of the passengers on board was Vijay Rupani, the former chief minister of Gujarat, attention on the crash grew even more intense. It wasn't just seen as a tragic accident, it had turned into something that raised larger questions about air safety, airline accountability, and how such a disaster could unfold so suddenly in a country where aviation is growing faster than ever. And as the wait grows longer, the number of questions keeps growing too. What are your views on this? Do let us know in the comment section below, and for more such amazing videos, do subscribe to our channel.